Okay, we've got Dr. Marshall with us and Murphy, the dog. Dr. Marshall is the principal of St. John Vianney School. And Dr. Marshall, if you would, can you please share with us about some of the behaviors we'll likely see the kids exhibit and help us understand some of the context for them that can help us understand their behavior?
Okay, the biggest thing to remember is that behavior is communication. So a child is telling you something by what they do, they're not telling you how they feel about you or what they want you to do necessarily for them, but they're trying to communicate something about what's going on, either inside, emotionally, or psychologically, or some of the inside things are, I'm just hungry. And so when you tell me to go sit down at a table and get started, because you're going to get started with an activity, and I get up, start running around, then the first thing some adults will do is say, what's wrong with you? You're not paying attention to me, sit down. But first, instead of reacting to the behavior, act out of what are they trying to tell me? And then ask them, especially if they're verbal. And you say, do you need something? Because you're standing up and I asked everyone to sit down. So always assume that there's something they haven't communicated to you, but that is important to them and you want to know what that is. And then the next step is looking at the facial responses, the verbal, not just reading what they say, but how they behave in terms of if that child stops and you say, where are you going? Can you tell me what you need? Usually if you say it in terms of what they need or as if you're trying to understand them, then they'll respond pretty quickly. Well, I have to go to the bathroom, and then and sometimes they don't want to say in front of their friends. They might not want to say in front of their friends, I didn't eat breakfast this morning. You can sometimes get, the younger they are, the more complicated it is. So you can say things like, did you have your breakfast this morning? Or do you need to go to the bathroom? Because we have time for that, so that, because they're trying to figure out sometimes what the rules are, what the boundaries are. Even if you've said that to them, even if you said nobody has to get up for 10 minutes, you can't assume that they even process it sometimes, or they process part of it. You're saying I can't get up. And what is that? How are they interpreting that in their head? Because sometimes what adults say to children will trigger fear. You don't know why that fear is. You might see the response being anger or worry, or and think about what that looks like in a child. Sometimes worry looks like just sitting still, not even participating in the activity. So it always works to go one-on-one to say, do you not like doing this? Or are you afraid to do paints? Are you, just questioning always works. Sometimes if there's a sibling there, they can say to you, oh, they don't like the noise that's in the room, or they're reacting to that one looks like grandma, so they don't want to hang out with them. Or they look like a teacher they had, so they're fearful. But it's important to ask first, to ask the child. So what you communicate when you do that is, I respect what's going on inside of you, and it's important to me to understand that, so I can love you the right way, or help you the right way. And then the child usually reciprocates. Usually they will respond very effectively. That's not just with younger kids, that's also with older kids. They'll usually respond in a way that's effective. Some children that's a child who's trying to stay focused, but they have a distraction internally. Externally, sometimes, somebody's kicking them under the table, or their brother said something mean to them this morning, or sister, and so then it takes a little more getting at, instead of, they might start the process, start doing what you're doing, and then all of a sudden start acting, like, no, I don't want to do this, or saying, I don't like you, The first thing you do after you say, Lord, help me with this one, is decide that it's not about you. It's not about you at all. Usually children, when they start telling you they don't like you, they don't want to, it's because there's a fear going on usually, an anxiety about what your expectation is for them. So instead of, well, I'm sorry, you give them the I messages to get the affect out. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way. Are you upset about something that happened? Tell me what's going on. You know, some of the children will be able to. They'll be able to say, hey, well, you know, I didn't sleep last night, and my head hurts, and then you respond to that need first. You know, well, do you need a drink of water, or maybe we can get you something to eat? Probably about half the conflicts I run into with children are physical in nature, and it's usually related to having had enough sleep, or having had something to eat, or